Hello and welcome to Business Daily here on Trust Elevation, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Chiamaka Nwafo. Now let's start you off with some top stories in the business world. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. This is Business Daily. Now let's go look at our stock market at close of business on Friday, 29th of September 2023. Now you can see that at close of trading on Friday, all share index closed at 66,382.14 trillion naira. That is a 0.10% decline. Now our stock exchange has actually been on the decline. This is about 7 days now or so. It's just been doing the downward trend. The bears are really having a field day on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Now the market cap equally declined at 36.331 trillion naira. The volume 292 million volume of shares and valued at 4.531 billion naira were traded in 6,323 deals. Now, what does this tell us about the day's trading? Looking at that, we can see that compared to Thursday's trading, that is the 28th of September, Friday's data shows a 7% improvement in volume, 33% improvement in turnover, but a 7% decline in deals. Now, let's go to our gainers table because on trading that, the 115 listed NGX equities participated in trading, and we have consolidated Hallmark Insurance leading the gainers table, closing at 1 naira 15 cover, going up at 9.57%. We probably have the Computer Warehouse Group at 7 naira 90 cover, going up at 9.49%, and then we have the NGX Exchange Group itself, that's the Nigerian Exchange Group, topping the table at 22 naira 40 cover, closing at 8.93%. Now, what's happening on the red side of the table? We see BUA Cement. Now, we know the news about BUA Cement, and they're topping the losers table at 95 naira, losing about 10.00%. Hopefully, let's see with this new thing that they have brought out, that is the reduction of their price. Let's see how that affects trading tomorrow of the BUA Cement. Now we have the Triple G and Co Limited closing at 2 naira 41 cover, losing 9.96%, and we have Uwando PLC at 8 naira 70 cover, losing 9.77%. Let's now see where are major traders. Now we see on our top trades and market movers, we have Fidelity Bank at 48.5 million shares. We have Universe Insurance at 28.1 million shares, and we have Wema Bank PLC at 26.6 million shares. These could all be profit taking. Two banks are there and insurance companies there. This could all be profit taking. But let's see how that affects our sectors. Now, at the close of business, the NGX banking went up by 1.40%. We could say that since our top traders, where we had two banks there, that could have helped significantly in the banking sector, going up positively at 1.40%. Now, NGX Industrial had a decline of minus 2.80%. NGX Consumer Goods went up by 2.26%. NGX Oil and Gas has 0.00%, and NGX Insurance went down at 0.43%. What's happening on our African continent? Let's take a look. Now, Johannesburg Stock Exchange went down, closing at 72,382.89 basis points. That's losing about 0.17%. We have the Ghana Stock Exchange going up at 3,172.35 basis points, just there at 0.00%. And the Nairobi Stock Exchange again, it's gone back to its downward trend, closing at 95.22 basis points, losing about 0.08%. Now that's the much we have for you on Stock Update. When we return, we'll be looking at a lot of things. What the president says, the NLC meeting, what's happening in the Nigerian economy. Do stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Let's take you on a ride through a series of colors, events, concerts, and lots more. Are you planning an event? EventScope has you covered. Make Trust TV your #1 choice to cover your event. Call 080-3591-0553. EventScope, making your event classic. Follow us on all of our social media platforms at Trust TV News for latest updates on EventScope.
That's great. It's good to see you.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Now, Nigeria turned 63 yesterday, and since I wasn't here to tell you so, happy independence, everybody. But what is our situation currently? We had a strike that is looming. We're not yet sure if it's been averted or if it's going to happen. Hopefully by the end of the day, we'll have more sure information on what's happening. But there have been some certain takeaways from that meeting. Now, some of them is that the president has agreed to having given a wage award of about, we heard earlier 25,000, but now news coming is now increased to 35,000 naira. Now we have so many other things to talk about, but let me introduce you to our guest, and will be joining me virtually to unpack these issues. Joining me via Zoom is Mr. Wilson Agaba. He is a business consultant and a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much, Mr. Agaba, for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
And happy independence to you. You know, so when we were talking about this conversation, I'll ask the question. Yes, we are celebrating 63 years of independence. However, can you really say that we're independent financially and economically?
Unfortunately, we can't say that we are absolutely independent economically and financially. This is because most of our policies are still being influenced by powers from the West. The things we do here are mostly dictated by them. Although I don't think that's a conversation we want to go deeply into today. But in that aspect, we can say we are absolutely independent. We see our leaders running cap in hand to these countries almost all the time, asking for investment, asking for one favor or the other. We borrow money, mismanage it, and seek for loan forgiveness and all of that.
Okay. Now, yesterday, organized labor, that is mostly the TUC, the NLC, and I think NUPENG and Penguin were in meetings with the federal government about this strike that's supposed to take place or start tomorrow. Now, there's been a lot. For one, I was already getting panicked. Oh, what am I going to do? I need to stock up. Because, there was so much coming out from them, or stock up, or do this, or do that. But I was seeing that there's a bit of, it might not happen, it might happen. We're not yet sure. We're hoping that by the end of the day, we'll get more information. Now, some of the things that came out from that meeting was that there's going to be VAT on diesel being waived aside. Now, currently, diesel is about 900 to about 1,100 for people to buy. How does this affect anything really? And this is a temporary measure, say for 6 months. How does this affect the economy really?
You see, the percentage of people that work in the federal civil service compared to the entire population of the country is very low. It's not even up to 5%. So by the time you increase the salary for these people, what happens to those who don't work for the federal government? Let's bring in the state governments. We have been, in fact, some states are still struggling with the 18,000 minimum wage, not to even talk about the 30,000 minimum wage. And we are talking about increment, a temporary increment in salary for federal civil servants. What happens to those who don't work for the government at all, those in the private sector, who also go to the same market with them, who also ply the same road with them? So at the end of the day, I think that we are so focused on palliatives in its true and literal meaning, which is give something to soothe the pain instead of curing the ailment. We have opportunity, the resources, and what it takes to cure the ailment. Why are we focused on palliatives? Why are we not? It's been 3 months since this government took over power. Why are we not seeing concrete plans in place for mass public transport system? Okay, so why are we not seeing comprehensive plans in place and taking off to do some of the things that will last us time instead of these superficial window dressing approaches?
Mr. Garba, those are some of the things that came out from the meeting. There are plans. I want to get into that. But what I was asking mostly, which I wanted you to speak to, was there's been a VAT removal on diesel. Now, they say for the next 6 months, they're going to take away the 7.5% VAT on diesel. How does this affect the economy? And is this temporary measure? Is it really, is it good? That's what I want you to really speak about right now.
Okay. Let's look at a 7.5% removal from diesel. Let's do that on a per liter basis. 7.5 is it's not up to 100 naira removed from that amount. How will it impact the cost of operation for a business that uses diesel to power it, to generate power for the operation of the company? And for a company that needs to distribute its product using trucks that consumes diesel, the impact is not going to be much. It's going to be very little. And when we say in the next 6 months, what will happen in the next 6 months? Are we going to start refining diesel at home here to crash the price? At least if we're able to remove the exchange rate impact on the price and the export and import duties and the rest, it can significantly crash this thing. But are we just trying to do a superficial dressing for it so that the pressure on the government will subside for some times? Or do we have a concrete plan in place to take over from there when this temporary removal elapse in the next 6 months? These are the areas I think the government needs to shed more light on.
Okay, so now earlier you went ahead of me to speak about the wage award, and I'm glad that you did that already, because I was going there and you're already speaking about some things I was going to ask about, which will bring me down to maybe our labor laws. And you're not a lawyer, so we can't be speak about the legality part of it, but I keep wondering, why does it seem like these measures, the minimum wage, the wage award, why do they only apply to federal government? Now, while I was reading up for this, I could see that even the wage award is supposed to be for federal government staff being paid from Treasury. Now, I'm not so sure and I do not know, so let me not speak to if we have staff that don't pay from Treasury. But there's even that too. It means that the state governments can do what they can do. What doesn't this whole thing apply to everybody, federal, state, private sector? What can be done and who can enforce and see that these things go around? Because as you said earlier, what happens to me or you that works in the private sector?
Now, you see, one of my position, the position I have always taken over the time is that a majority of these things we are discussing, the buck stops on the table of the government, the federal government to start with, and then to drive it to the other tiers of the government. We sometimes throw out policies just to calm the nerves of people within the country. When there's an uprising, people are saying, oh, we don't like this, or we are feeling pain here. We give them something to chew on. No, none of the administration have made serious and purposeful effort to resolve these issues. Now, there are several aspects you must consider. If you put a law saying that the minimum wage I must pay should be XYZ amount, is there a law that allows me to earn a minimum revenue to be able to pay that minimum wage? That's something we must consider. Some of the times you cannot enforce these laws on the private sectors because most of the businesses are also not doing well. So by the time you say you must pay XYZ minimum wage, they will close down. And those working with them will lose the paltry amount they used to collect. So most importantly, we need to improve the environment in which businesses operate within the country.
Okay, so now one of the other things that came out from that meeting was what you equally talked about earlier, and it's about the issue of compressed natural gas as a means of transportation, and they say they are going to fast track it. Now, as you said earlier, it's been 3 months the government has come into power, and this is not the first time we're hearing compressed natural gas buses. What exactly could we say is taking so long for this to be implemented? Because this might likely affect everybody, be it the federal government staff, state or private sector, because that should in a way bring down the cost of transportation.
Well, it surprises me that we are still hearing we will. Sometimes I ask myself the question, is this government not supposed to be a continuation of the APC government of former President Muhammadu Buhari? They had a roadmap to subsidy removal. Part of the roadmap was this CNG stuff we are talking about today. Did they not have a plan of how to deploy the CNG apparatus for us to start converting? Did they not have all this plan on ground? Why is it difficult for the current president to pick it up and work with it? By this time, we should be hearing we have done XYZ in the area of compressed gas. We have established conversion center. We have done this, we have done. These are the kind of things we are supposed to be hearing. You are 3 months in the office. The pain is excruciating. Nigerians are unable to keep up with the bills. Things are difficult. I'm talking to you on Zoom today because of fuel impact. The cost of buying fuel is so much on some of us that we now work from home. And you let go of certain business opportunity. Organizations are closing down. We are still talking of we will. It shows that you don't have a plan in place, that while you were campaigning, you have no plan. While you remove fuel subsidy, you have nothing in mind to cushion the impact, or probably you did not even understand the snowball effect of what you were about to do. The government should sit back down Well, I also, let me allow you drive the conversation anyway, but the government should sit back down, assemble the team, and ask them the important question. Nigerians are hurting. What can we do to quickly ameliorate this problem? What can we shouldn't be coming out to tell the people we will, or we want to, we are going to set up a committee, to set up another committee to think of how to. No, that's not what Nigerians want. We want to hear, we have started this. This is where it is. This is where we are heading. This is your role in it. This is the role we will play. That is what Nigerians want to hear.
All right, Mr. Wilson Agaba, it's funny when you say set up committee, set up another committee. So it's just about setting up committees, but committee actually. Now, sometime last week, we saw that the president of the, I think, steering committee on tax reforms or something came out to say that there are plans to start taxing wealthy Nigerians. Now, how? Because now, for me, maybe let me not say things out of context. Maybe it says starts planning, or maybe should now do it. But how does that affect us generally? And is it that for the last how many years or months they have not been taxed?
When you say you want to start taxing wealthy Nigerians, it looks like you are going to implement a situation, a system that will be biased against them. That is not what it should be. What we need to do is to make sure that everybody that needs to pay any form of tax pays them, and that we tax everything that is taxable. For instance, if we want to pay taxes on properties like buildings, then let's say we are introducing a tax on buildings. And so that you tax every building, so that those people who own 50 buildings will pay taxes for 50 buildings, and those who own one building will pay tax for one building. If we are paying for vehicle particulars, let's pay for every vehicle. Let's ensure that there is a system that makes sure that even the vehicle that the president rides in is paid from an account in the CBN, so that there's no exception. Everybody driving a vehicle in this country should pay. So if you have 50 vehicles in your house, you pay for the 50 vehicles. These are the kind of things we should be looking at. When you say you want to tax the wealthy, what does it actually mean? Are you going to insert some form of bias? Are you going to start deterring people from getting rich? That's not how it should be. Let's put it straight. We tax everything that needs to be taxed for. And so that people pay evenly, and so that the country will make more money, and then we can put this money to good use. So I don't like the sound of we want to start taxing rich people. Okay, it looks like you are going to rob the rich people to pay the poor. No. What we are asking is equity and fairness. Tax buildings, for instance, so you tax everybody for their buildings. Tax vehicles, for instance, so you tax everybody for their vehicle. Tax businesses, for instance, so that you tax every businesses for their profits. So that's what we are saying.
Okay, so Mr. Agaba, still on tax, what is your take on tax waivers? Because it seems like some people do certain things so that they don't have to pay tax. So I think the things like CSR, you do a CSR and then your tax is waived. So what's your take on tax waivers? Because even the IMF sometime last week was talking about Nigeria and sub-Saharan African countries having to take a look at tax waivers and doing something about it to help their economies.
Tax waiver is not a bad thing. It's a tool that many economics use in their countries to do one of two things, or let me put it under the umbrella of socioeconomic development. For instance, you have certain big company now for fear of advertising them on your shows. You have some big companies that have foundations. These foundations focus on certain areas that government otherwise wouldn't be able to effectively and efficiently manage. So some of them will say, okay, we are focusing on child mortality, we are focusing on maternal mortality, or we are focusing on poverty reduction in so and so areas. So they put a percentage of their profit in the foundation, and the foundation manages these issues. In lieu, the government gives them some form of tax relief. Also, for SME development, for you to improve job creation in the country, you need more SMEs to start up. And you need them to come up in numbers and also stay afloat over a reasonable period of time, probably grow into giant companies. To do that, you need to grant them some form of tax waivers to reduce their cost of operation so that they can stay afloat, recruit more people, and eventually contribute to the economy. So tax waiver is not a bad thing when it is deployed in a very fair manner. When it is not deployed with ulterior motive, when it is not deployed as a political gift to certain people who probably have helped you during campaign or electioneering and all of that. If it is judiciously used, it is a good tool to grow the economy.
All right, thank you so much for that. Now, just before we go, because time is already against us, we need to round up. BUA Cement yesterday puts out this very good news, according to people in the maybe construction company, says that now they're reducing the price of their cement to 3,500. Now we're seeing that on Friday at close of business, they were topping the losers table. Their share prices went down. We're hoping that maybe by tomorrow, Tuesday, we'll see if this news would affect their stock. But tell me really, what do you think about that move by BUA Cement?
Well, the move is a two-pronged approach. Number one, it is going to earn the company some brand sympathy, brand recognition. Of course, BUA is everywhere. People who have not heard about BUA Cement before are now hearing about them. People who didn't like them for one reason or the other before will begin to like them because they have done something noble. Right, so that is a very good marketing strategy.
Okay, all right.
On the other aspect, whether it is going to have a significant
for you
impact
to delve into that as I would like you to. But thank you so much for taking out your time to join us today on Business Daily. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much for having me.
And that's the much we have for you on Business Daily today. Thank you for staying with us. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms and catch us on our YouTube live stream. I am Chiamaka. For same time, same place tomorrow. Don't forget to stay safe and please spend wisely.